Bagging up, Graham, aren't you? You on? Here we are, Graham Bodice. Do you want a hand, Graham?
No, I don't think so, mate.
The Bodice.
Bodice. These pair beat me.
Yeah, you know they ain't.
Fetch you.
Quid.
At least you got my name right this time. Wouldn't matter.
You're even in here.
Are you going to weigh him?
No, only because you started speaking.
Come on then, let's come out that ugly. And he's fatter than me and all.
It's on you.
Can't leave that on you, Dad. The gulls on.
So what do you do here then? Because he keeps going 40, 41.
Do you want me to read them for you?
Yeah.
Speedy read them.
Well, you got 150?
I've got. I didn't count weight today, I counted fish. I normally count weight and I've got 69, but I didn't click all of them.
Alright, so what's the point in clicking if you're not going to click all of them?
It's my clicker. My clicker, that's it. How much you think that is? Yeah.
Now he's thinking, isn't he?
We'll all be watching the video like when he puts
He'll be
it on.
editing it, it'll be like fishing of him somewhere else, like a long latch, and it'll be like, oh, fuck.
How this one?
Shit, we're in that bottom down. No, it's got to be right at the far corner. That's what shit you do there.
Shake.
44.6.
Some proper kippers out, mate.
You think so?
Yeah, some big ones. Yeah. A lot of same size, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A bit more 50 there.
$49.10.
Make my fucking arm.
Shallow, Daddy, aren't you?
47.5.
So it's something I'm not good at.
That's what it lies.
I'm only kidding. You know, that's what you get serious. Them that don't, you know, I'm only kidding.
Well done, Speed.
Well done, Nick.
Thanks, mate. Right. And me. Oosh! It's probably worth it.
Might be wrong,
Apparently this big.
Yeah.
You started on it.
£200.
Right.
Lindholme OMAR Festival Day 2. Now, how it worked is on day 1 it was a random draw, and whatever lake you drew on, that was going to be your that was going to be the group you were going to fish about amongst for the rest of the week. And there were some good anglers on the bonsai on the Monday. As it worked out for the rest of the week, I was then going to be fishing against the likes of Grant Albert, Ryan Lingard, Matt Pilley, Johnny Jowett, and a lot of other good anglers as well. So it was going to be a tough section. So on day 2, that put us then on Willows. 25 of us on Willows. As the rest of the lakes are exactly the same, fishing really well. Willows is definitely no exception. And I was speaking to Grant in the morning, and I said I reckon 130 to win your section, or possibly win the lake. But we've not had a match on it recently, so it was a bit of a question mark with how well it was going to fish. As it turned out, the lake fished really well, and in the draw bag I drew peg 9, and I'd say it is not just my favourite lake favourite peg on the lake. I'd say it's one of my favourite pegs on the complex. I just love it. It's a fantastic peg. It's not on a point, but you've got quite a large expanse of water. It's quite a big bay, and with that in mind, it then holds a lot of fish as a result, because there's loads of safe water for them to back off to. And I had the wind right as well, blowing towards me, bit of water movement coming this way, and my plan was to fish hard pellet shore and cast a shallow, and that was how it went really. I had one fish on the hard pellet shore in the first 20 minutes, and then I just changed my patch plan straight away, because obviously I'd only had one bite. So I started loose feeding casters shallow, maybe 10 minutes into the match, and once I've gone on it, I've caught well, and I've never come off it. I've fished that for the rest of the match, and I've had quite a steady match. However, in my particular section, I had Graham Bodice on peg 5, Grant on peg 7, and especially with Grant being on the point, I thought he was going to be really tough to beat, but he had a few more anglers in his bay. So there was an angler on peg 2, an angler on peg 50, an angler on peg 51, peg 52, and an angler also on peg 53. And with that in mind, I felt that with there being a few more anglers in that bay, it might push a few more fish into my bay, and I think that's what happened. Also, he didn't really have a ripple in front of him like what I did. Grant caught really well early on, and then his peg died. And I think when there's a few anglers on the lake, I just felt it being a bit safer bet, rather than trying to catch shallow at a short distance. I decided to fish at 11 metres, where it felt a bit safer, and I could therefore, in my mind, think, catch more consistently throughout the match. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel as if I did much wrong regarding those kind of decisions, because once I went shallow, I caught really well all day, nice and steady. I caught good stamp fish as well, and I didn't have that many bad spells. Nice steady match. I've caught between 6 and 10 inches deep, with either a banded caster or a banded small pellet on the hook. I've used Dynamite Robin Red pellet on the hook, and I've gone through quite a lot of casters, but I've had a lovely day's fishing. Just mainly F1s, the odd skimmer, and a great day's fishing. So as it turned out, I ended up with £187, which won the section. Grant was second in the section with £135, and Graham Bodice was third in the section with £133 off peg 5, so it was quite close between those two. So I was quite happy, to be honest with you, going into day 3 with a section win in a second. I was quite happy. And Johnny Jarrett won the lake on the day and the match. I ended up second in the match overall with £187. Johnny won it with Andy's section, obviously, with £197, and he fished exactly the same. Cast a shallow, and he caught a few fish down the edge. So roll on day 3.